I see the question asked a lot, what should I be picking in the mid lane, right? What heroes are good in the different situations? And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be discussing exactly what you should be picking as your 9th pick, right? When you have not last pick, either the 8th or the 9th pick, and what you should be picking when you have 10th pick. Also, I guess I'll technically be discussing what you have to do if your teammate refuses to pick and you have to pick even earlier. So yeah, I'm sort of planning on doing this for all the roles, but I'm going to stick with the mid lane because in my opinion, the mid lane is the most important role to know how to draft in effectively, only because the matchup can determine basically how the game goes, especially the higher and higher MMR you get. If you get cheese picked or counter picked, and the mid lane doesn't go well to the point where you're 2 levels behind, the match can go really south, and I'm sure you guys know that, right, just from experience. So yeah, I'm going to try to clarify some ideas that I have on mid lane drafting, what I think you should be doing to shape your hero pool around these ideas. Yeah, let's get into it. So if you guys are excited for this drafting information-based sort of video, please like the video. It helps our channel grow, right? We're trying to get bigger and bigger every single day. I'm actually trying a lot of new content ideas out as well, so it helps me a ton if you could let me know that you're enjoying it by simply clicking that button. Yeah, let's get into it. On top of this video, I'll be making a monkey replay analysis soon for the main website. So I just played in a pub. I played monkey mid against a morphling. I was playing extremely aggressive, getting inside the enemy jungle, and really just experimenting with the new style of mid that I've been seeing from players like Chris Luck and Thompson for the past few months. So if you're interested in that content, go check out the main gameleap website in the description below. It's very cheap. I put out a lot of content there, basically a video every single day, whether it's from me or another top tier creator over on the website. So hopefully I'll see you there. And once again, it's just down in the description. All right, so let's start with understanding 9th picks. I'm going to be giving you kind of a quick list of information. This is very important information, understanding why certain heroes are 9th picks. And what this information should allow you to do is determine in the future whether or not a hero you want to play is a 9th or a 10th pick. I'll be giving this information for the 9th picks first, and later on in the video for the 10th picks. So first off, for the 9th picks, they often have a stable laning stage, right? They're able to do okay in the majority of matchups, if not win. They have good lane shove, and what this means is that they have options if the game gets hard. Any hero with lane shove naturally has options if the game gets hard, which actually a lot of players don't understand, but it's the thing about a lot of 9th picks, which we'll be discussing in a bit. And then finally, damage without items. This is not necessarily a guarantee, but it's a trend I noticed within a lot of these 9th picks, where they have a lot of damage based upon primarily levels, right? So as we'll look at them, you'll tend to notice that as long as they hit, let's say level 6, they will do a lot of damage, where a lot of the 10th picks don't necessarily have that timing, but to have a completely different timing. And finally, the last thing I want to say about 9th picks, which just makes my heart warm, is it could be just a meta hero, right? It could just be one of the hardcore meta heroes. Every single patch typically has one of these, if not a few, right? Let's just look back at the past and talk about a few, right? So in 6.83, if any of you remember that, we are in 7.24, but 6.83, Sniper, he is a hero that you could, at that time, because he was very good, first pick, and then you could draft around him, only because the build, Mask of Madness Sunshine Yasha, was good enough to warrant that. In TI7, we had Broodmother. If you remember, Team Liquid did extremely well in that tournament by picking Matama Man Broodmother in the first phase. And finally, in TI5, we had Leshrac. Teams were no joke, first phase pick and banning it, right? So heroes like this should be picked in the first phase. Literally, you can first pick these heroes. And that's something you have to do if you're trying to get better as a mid laner. You need to be following the meta so that you understand these key crucial picks that the top MMR players focus. They will literally insta-lock them when the game starts for this reason. For instance, Void Spirit, when he first came out, sure, he wasn't doing that well, but when people figured out how to play him, good lord, that hero was obnoxious. And so people were first picking him. Now let's go over some example of 9th picks so I can really make sure my point is clear and you guys can have some heroes to maybe incorporate into your hero pool. So first off, we have Leshrac. This is personally my favorite 9th pick in all of Dota. It's a hero I'm very comfortable with, and the reason I like to say that this is one of the best 9th picks in the game, if not the best, is it loses almost 0 lanes. Right, there's not a lot of heroes that naturally can dumpster Leshrac. Maybe something like a Viper, maybe a Brood, a good Qaff player, a Huskar, they all could beat it, right? Even something like a TA, they can win. But the thing is, if you're good enough at Leshrac, you have the potential to win the lane because you have low mana nukes. Low mana nukes give you the potential to win any lane because you can secure a lot of creeps, which means you can get a lot of levels. And if you know anything about Leshrac, as long as you secure those creeps and get those levels, you can have impact. It's kind of like this natural flow, but right, just to really prove my point here. Let's say we look at a 10th pick hero, which I'll go into depth in the future. But for now, let's look at a hero like Tinker. If you get shut down as Tinker, you can't do anything for the large majority of the game. You're just going to be marching waves and shooting a couple of rockets, which frankly isn't that much impact. So now let's go back to Leshrac. Right? You have a stable laning stage, your lane shove is some of the best in the game, you have a ton of movement speed, you build movement speed items, bots and yules, typically is the standard build for Leshrac. And so if the game gets hard, let's say your team is losing, your hard carry anti-mage is having a garbage game, he has 30 last hits in 28 minutes and is 0-5, and you need to make space for him. Well then, you can split push all game, and then you can go for pickoffs with your yules combo and continue to create space. It's very effective. Next up, there's Guga, right? I like to look at this hero as the I want to farm, or my team needs catch 9th pick hero, because you might be like, well, Speed, what if you counterpick him with a Monkey King or a Huskar or a Timbersaw? Well, believe it or not, Guga can do okay in all of these matchups. He can do okay. Once again, if you understand good laning mechanics, which is why I can't stress learning laning enough, if you learn good laning mechanics, you can do okay because Kunkka naturally can shove the wave consistently and harass his opponent effectively while doing it. Also, if we look at Kunkka's kit, he naturally hits a level 6 spike that is almost unmatched by the majority of heroes in Dota. It has gotten nerfed like a gajillion times ever since Kunkka was a first phase hero, right? He was literally first pick, first ban by most of the pro teams for a period of time quite recently. But right, that level 6 spike with the bow giving you a 400 damage nuke is close to unmatched. It makes you a playmaker. You're naturally a playmaker. Let's say we have Qaff. Just to keep things simple, Qaff isn't too complex. It just means, hey, my team needs a playmaker. Your lane shove isn't particularly amazing as Qaff. I guess if you have your AoE dagger talent and your Scream of Pain, you can clear waves effectively. But for the most part, what this hero allows you to do is draw a lot of attention. Even if you per se can't kill a wave and you only can do half of its health, you can at least show yourself, bait the enemy towards you, and create space, even if you're behind. Next up, we have Lina. This is once again a playmaker with a lot of burst, can fill in the gap for your team, doesn't require a lot of farm at all to once again make plays, and of course, Lina has one of the most stable laning stages in Dota. I would say it's maybe the best out of any of these heroes. Lina loses very little matchups due to her high range and a strong level 2 spike. A lot of heroes spike at level 3. Lina has one of the hardest level 2 spikes in Dota, which I think makes her laning stage quite potent if you play it right. And finally, we have one of the most recent buffed heroes in the patch that I think is very underrated right now and deserves a little bit more attention. Like Death Prophet, I don't think Death Prophet's getting the attention she deserves right now. Not certain of this, but that's my hot take. Regardless, Death Prophet is like a good 9th pick that once again does not lose a lot of lanes, has a nuke, has a low mana nuke, right? It's a low cooldown so you can secure a lot of creeps, good stats right now, pretty good stats, good base damage, good attack range, and once again a spell that allows her to trade in the Spirit Siphon. So Death Prophet is one of those things where, oh, my team wants to push, my team wants to death ball, or my team sort of needs this frontliney mid that can buy these tank items and get in for our team. That's a great option. And this is why having a couple of these 9th pick heroes in your pool can be very, very useful, right? You want to be able to draft when you're playing mid lane, especially when you don't have last pick, in the regard to not get instantly destroyed, right? So if you pick a hero like Lina, and let's say they last pick Meepo, at least then you have the LSA. Let's say they pick Brood. Once again, at least then you can smoke and try to kill the Brood. Or you can even go safe lane with the Lina because she can literally safe lane and you can put your safe laner mid. That's the thing about a lot of these heroes. Even Lesh, Kunkka, Qaff, Lina, and Death Prophet, they all can actually play side lane, right? They could effectively play side lane, and that's the thing. It's because they have solid laning stages. Finally, before we move on, I just want to say that you can 9th pick heroes such as Meepo to either block pick certain heroes, right? Let's say the enemy team has a perfect Timbersaw game, and you see that. You can pick Timber if you think it's a decent enough Timber game, and you really, really don't want them to have it. Like, you literally insta-lose if they get it. That's an option. It's not too common. Just want to put it out there. You also, if you want to put them in a sticky situation, can 9th pick a hero like Meepo. If, let's say, the 4 rest of the enemy heroes on the enemy team can't deal with it, you're going to force the enemy to pick a hero that they probably don't think is the best for the game, but counters Meepo, right? So you can kind of lock them up and lock up their 10th pick to the point where they actually can't pick something that is optimal. And even a hero like Meepo or Brood, if you're good enough at it, can just play more of a farm-oriented style, so you can bait a counter pick and then continue to farm, and it's actually a pretty decent option. Now let's get into 10th pick heroes, and this is obviously the heroes you're going to be picking last in the draft. In solo queue, this is a major advantage. In fact, there's a lot of people who actually complain about the fact that last pick is a thing in Dota, only because, like, in the right game, you no joke you can even crush pros. Like, if you have the right hero, I've seen plenty of matches, and I've been in plenty of matches where some rank 500, which might not seem that high, takes down some rank 3, rank 2, whatever it is, just because they have some absurd matchup. And yeah, let's talk about it. So first off, let's go over the qualifications for being a 10th pick hero. In particular, they actually haven't changed very much. The 10th pick heroes and the list of them is about the same. But yeah, let's get into the qualifications. So first off, they're difficult to kill without the correct heroes. This is a big one for me that I don't think people realize. A lot of the 10th pick heroes are very, very difficult to kill if you do not have these specified heroes, and that, in my opinion, is their main strength. They can create havoc and are very hard to deal with unless you have the correct either items, or in particular, let's say, right, hero, let's say it's a Huskar, you need maybe like an AA to deal with it, or something of that sort. And really, that's the thing about these heroes. If you don't have the right pick to counter it, and frankly, if you last pick it, it's kind of GG. Often they can dump lanes extremely hard, right? That's the second point. They can crush certain matchups unbelievably hard. They farm in weird ways or fast ways, right? Let's look at Brood, for example. Brood is just kind of weird. She can farm your camps, she can farm the entire jungle in 10 seconds, 3 minutes into the game. And the same thing for Meepo, right? It's like, you can farm every camp very quickly and in a very weird and unpredictable way. And finally, you make players abandon before the game starts. Like, this is just a qualification of a 10th pick hero. If you're last picking and you've never gotten someone to abandon before the game starts, you are clearly not picking the right 10th pick heroes. These heroes make everyone want to smash their head into the wall. And in fact, so much so that I almost sometimes dislike having them on my team. Unless it's ranked, then bring me my money. But one thing I want to say before we get into the actual heroes that we'll be talking about is there is one specifically new best last pick 10th mid, and that is Jungle Venom, baby! Make your position 4 take that mid lane. I mean, who even wants to lane nowadays? Just outform him in the jungle. Just let him go lane against the Viper, alright? Pick Venom jungle, let him take that awful Viper lane, and just play your game. Alright, but all jokes aside, you don't actually have to pick Cheese at 10th, guys, by the way. Let's say you have an Animage in your safe lane. It might not be the best option to pick a Brood, right? Because there might not be enough space on the map. Same thing as an Alk or a Meepo. It can be very dangerous if your team cannot allow your Cheese, right, or play around your Cheese to pick Cheese. And often Cheese does take up a lot of space on the map. It's very uncommon to see a Cheese hero that can kind of just run down lanes and create space. It's possible, and you can play that play style with a hero like Timber, but yeah, just be careful about that. And now let's talk about the actual 10th pick heroes. So first off, we have Tinker. In particular, he's very hard to get caught if you don't have the right matchups. You don't necessarily need to pick Tinker to stomp lanes. In fact, I think that's the wrong mentality if you're maxing rockets and maxing laser. I see this with some Tinkers, it's a big mistake. So he definitely does not have the qualification of stomping specific matchups. It's just one of those things that I want to put out there. It's very hard to catch and kill him if you do not have the right heroes, and you just want to make sure you have at least a decent lane, and then typically it's a pretty good Tinker game. Also, he's very good at blinding specific illusion heroes or just right clickers. Next up, we have Meepo. Meepo, in my opinion, is like a top 5 solo queue hero of all time just for gaining MMR. The reason is, even if you get counterpicked, if you understand how to farm correctly on this hero and then take Roche, it's so hard for anyone to deal with it because you just outfarm the majority of heroes in Dota, and you can solo kill almost anyone, even the traditional counter of maybe something like a Kunkka or Monkey King. For instance, like, Meepo can deal with them. Like, if you get the right items, or you get a Hex early enough, or something of that sort, or even if you just happen to be double their net worth, which is frankly possible, you just kill them. And now I'm going to give you a couple of heroes that he dumpsters in particular, and just things to look out for. Meepo, for the most part, in the mid lane, dumpsters Brood. He's quite good against Brood. Reason being is, Brood as a 10th pick hero, the thing is, some people will pick it early if they just kind of want to throw off your draft. As I said, right, that's something you can do with certain 9th picks, picking 10th picks to lock up the enemy team's 10th pick. But the thing is, Meepo here gives you nets, 4 nets, to catch a Broodmother, which is a major counter. Also, if you no problem killing the spiders, as you can control them as well, and then obviously poof them down. Next up, we have TA. In my opinion, this is one of the best heroes to pick Meepo against, just because TA wants to farm. She can't pressure to Meepo that hard. Meepo has very high armor, so it's hard for TA to deal with him. You easily burn through the refraction and have no problem getting on top of her. Also, you can steal the Roshan from TA, which in my opinion is a massive deal. Next up, we have Clinks. You just get on top of him and kill him. It's pretty simple. Once again, you're also high armor. And then you have Ember and Storm, and in the mid lane, you actually can solo kill both of these heroes if you play it correctly, and even if you don't, you provide this major threat against both of them that if they decide to split push, and right, Storm and Ember will always split push just for farming purposes. If they're not, well, I don't know what they're doing. They're probably sitting in their base, right? If they're doing this, Meepo easily can blink and control them for as long as he needs. Even if they buy a Yules to counter this out, you can net them on the way down. It's kind of just GG for them. Next up, we have Brood, and in particular, Brood is a lane stomper, but Brood as a hero has changed over time. It used to be this, like, stomp the lane and continue to run down lanes type of strat, like, you just always try to kill people. Now it's become more of a farming hero that can stomp the lane and stomp certain matchups, which we'll discuss first here. So first off, you dumpster heroes like OD, Invoker, Leshrac, Arc Warden, and Viper. Reason being is they do not have the AoE damage to actually deal with your spiders, and overall, like, as long as you hit your BKB timing at some point in the game, these heroes can't do too much to you. In fact, all of these heroes generally hate when a BKB hero gets on top of them, right? OD, Invoker, Leshrac, Arc, Viper. They hate it when a BKB hero gets on top of them, and Brood can hit this very hard timing where he gets, like, let's say a Diffusal on a BKB, or even like an older build with the Deso Mask of Madness BKB. That's quite a bit of a throwback. We're seeing a lot of, like, mixed builds nowadays with the Spiders and Ags and Midas and Diffusal and things like that. But right, if you get on top of these heroes, you provide a lot of issues. And also, if the enemy team does not have proper catch or long lockdown or even tracking lockdown, a hero like Spirit Breaker or something of that sort, it's very hard to catch the Brood. So farm away, hit your item timings, and run them over. Next up, we have Huskar. And in general, I think Huskar just dumpsters certain heroes very, very hard in lane, and then makes it basically demoralizing for the rest of his team to actually play when they realize that their mid laner is level 6 at minute 12. And a couple of those heroes are TA. This is a natural winning matchup for Huskar. You just burn out her refraction and can disarm her later into the game, which makes it very hard for TA to play. Next up is Storm. You kind of just outlast Storm as long as you get enough levels. Just to be clear, TA and Storm can actually both kill Huskar if the Huskar player is bad. If you decide on playing Huskar, the quick tip that I can give you is don't assume that you're that strong at level 1. You're more so hitting your spikes around level 3 and level 5. That's when you really can just give it to him. Next up, we have Medusa. This is probably one of the best Huskar matchups in Dota because you can dumpster Medusa in lane to no end. And then, once again, in the mid game, you can buy a Halberd and have your disarm, giving you 2 disarms, which naturally destroys Medusa. And then finally, to top it off, we have Zeus and Magnus. Reason being is that, once again, Zeus, you don't resist magical damage anymore, but you can just take a dump on Zeus in the laning stage, and then if you get on top of him in the mid game with a strong BKB timing, there's very little he can do. And finally for Mag, you zone him out at some point in the lane. You can die to a good skewer, but for the most part, if you play it safe and play around your stronger timings, like I said, the 3 and the 5, you can destroy him and then, of course, disarm him. These disarms really, really come into play against heroes like Mag and TA and Storm, even the Medusa in particular. It really destroys them. And then finally, my favorite 10th pick hero in Dota, something that I've used to gain an insane amount of MMR, is Timbersaw. I pick him in the safe lane, off lane, mid lane. I just love picking this hero late into the draft. Even now, as of late, I pick him early just to grief with people's brains. But the thing is, he counters a lot of strength heroes in particular. There's a couple of other matchups or agi heroes that he does well against, but let's get into it. First off, he beats DK, Guga, and Magnus, all for the same reason. They can't do a lot of magical damage, or at least enough to kill Timber. Guga does a good amount, but a very finite amount that would kill most heroes, but not really Timber. And then finally, we have TA and Brood, and the reason is you can sort of just auto-attack PA in the laning stage. At some point in the lane, she can't do enough damage to deal with you. You sort of zone her out, and you can itemize to counter her. You can buy a Shiva's, you can buy a Halberd, and all these items really do a good job of kiting out the TA. And then in the team fights, you can kind of get on top of her and just mess with her a little bit. And then finally, we have the Brood, and reason being is it's very easy for you to kill the spiders and defend your towers against the Broodmother. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you learned a lot about 9th picks and 10th picks mid. I think it's one of those topics that if you begin to understand it and test things out, there's a lot more of information that you can learn about even comparing these heroes to the drafts around the mid lane, right? Yeah, how good are the side lane heroes against me? How good is the support at ganking me? All these questions, if you spam these heroes, you can answer, and you become more and more of a deadly drafter, and especially in the mid lane, this allows you to become a dominant player that will inevitably gain MMR. But thank you guys for watching. Please do like and subscribe to help our channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now, to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys, 25%, and start your journey today.